and march into Aquarius on December 21st. So Saturn will enter Aquarius on the 17th, Jupiter will enter on the 19th, and together at 0 degrees, they will move into Aquarius. This is so exciting and cause for celebration. Yay! Because it's the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Something we've heard about our entire lives is actually happening now in the physical. And it's so exciting. So Jupiter and Saturn, they couple together every 20 years. The last time they coupled together, it was in Taurus in 1999. Now it is in the sign Aquarius. So not only is it kicking off a 20-year cycle in an air sign, it's the beginning of a 200-year cycle in the air signs Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini. And this is really good news. So we're calling it the era instead of era. And this is exciting. Now the shift may not be obvious immediately to you or seen in the world. However, it will begin to grow. The awareness of things improving and getting better will begin now. And I'm so excited about 2021 and what is about to happen. And I love giving you good news. So this is cause for celebration because conjunctions are new beginnings. Conjunctions are like new moons. Every month when the sun and the moon couple together, they have a new moon. New moons are new beginnings. They bring a fresh energy. They bring a fresh start. And in Aquarius, it is about freedom, truth, enlightenment, honoring the individual, honoring our uniqueness. At the same time, it's a very social sign. It's about honoring society, the community, the groups we belong to. And this is really good news. Another thing too, which I find fascinating, is Jupiter and Saturn are also what we call parallel at the moment of their coupling. That makes this their tightest conjunction coupling since 1623. That's significant because not only are they marching into this new era, but they're right on top of each other. They're coupled together. They're a couple. And so this is really good news. Parallels in Hori astrology, which means hourly astrology, it's when an astrologer erects a chart, creates a chart at the moment he or she understands a question. It's a very powerful tool. In Hori astrology, we consider parallels as good as done. So whatever the question is, we look at the significance, we look at the planets, and if they're parallel, the answer is, yep, it's as good as done. And so we have Jupiter and Saturn at their tightest conjunction in almost 400 years. This is significant as they march into this new era of air. And the sun is at 0 degrees Capricorn, because that's when we have the shift of seasons, the summer solstice in the southern hemisphere, winter solstice in the northern hemisphere. And the sun is parallel Pluto, and that is power. So I see it as power to the people, power to our communities, power to our societies, that the universe wants to give power to the individual so that we can give power to our communities. It's very powerful. And another cool thing, I was meditating on the number 0 because I thought, wow, this is really significant that they are, moving into Aquarius at 0 degrees while the sun is at 0 degrees Capricorn. So in numerology, the number 0 is both a closed and wide open number. It means comprehensiveness, openness, wholeness, and infinity. It is an all-inclusive number. And that's another sign that the universe is blessing us with this energy of not only openness, but that we can do anything together when we honor our individual uniqueness. And that is just breathtaking. Aquarius is a breath of fresh air. We are in the air signs. Hallelujah. So this new era is linked to the development of social structures and personal development, and can indicate a new, higher social order. Yay, just in the nick of time. Because the energy of Aquarius is much different than the energy of Capricorn. Aquarius, being an air sign, it is objective, progressive, scientific, innovative, independent, intuitive, with humanitarian aims. Sign of mankind in general. Now, you are familiar with the sign of Aquarius, where you see the man holding the water jug and the water is pouring out onto humanity. Well, Aquarius is not a water sign. It is an air sign. It rules the mind. The water pouring out is knowledge, because knowledge is power. Knowledge is enlightenment. When people have knowledge, they make better choices for themselves. And when people have better choices, they want the best in life for themselves as well as for community. And that's how we raise everyone up, by giving people choices, giving them knowledge, giving them education, giving them opportunities. And that's what is happening now as we move forward. And this is very exciting and good news. So yes, the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn happens every 20 years. And the last one was in 1999 in Taurus, when we were still in the Earth era. So the Earth era has been going on since 1802. Before that, it was the era of fire, 1603 to 1802, and then 1802 till now in Earth. Well, right now, we're moving into the age of Aquarius and the air signs, and this is really exciting. The next coupling together they will do is in 2039 and 2040, and that will be in Libra. So it's going to continue in the air signs for the next 200 years. And that is really good news for all of us, because we're going to move out of the earth element that's been focused on wealth creation, material security, resources, land development, land settlement, and material goods. And we've also seen the shadow side of that. We've seen the exploitation of people. We've seen the exploitation of the environment to our health and well-being, and just destruction, extinction of animals, and the loss of rainforests and forests in general. So we are going to be making big shifts in here, because we are going to be bringing in the Garden of Eden. The age of Aquarius is the return of the Garden of Eden to the planet. And so in this focus on Aquarius over the next couple of years, and the air element over the next 200 years, we're going to be focused on social progress, intellectual development, new concepts, and the expansion of consciousness. So it is about developing the power of our mind individually as well as collectively. And we're going to be doing an incredible meditation on the solstice. At the moment, Jupiter and Saturn are coupled together. I have the link below. I also have it on my community page here on YouTube, as well as my Facebook page. You can read all about it, but I have the link below in the Show More section for you. Because think about it. Here we can come together as one mind and focus on the Garden of Eden. Focus on prosperity for all, freedom for everyone, that everyone can be who they uniquely are and love who they uniquely love without condemnation, without prejudice, that we can honor our uniqueness and at the same time respect our differences without having to be divided. So this is about bringing us all together as community. And what better way than to focus the power of our mind at the moment of the inception of the age of Aquarius, where we focus together collectively, millions of us joining together around the planet, wherever this conjunction coupling will take place, where you are, where I am, we're focused together in that moment in time, meditating on the light, on the truth, on the freedom, on the prosperity for all, as well as healing the planet and bringing in the Garden of Eden, Age of Aquarius for everyone. So I would love for you to join me and all of us that are going to be using the power of our mind to focus our intention on manifesting prosperity, abundance, healing, and love for the planet, for you, for me, for our communities, for our societies, for our governments, our institutions, and so on. And what better way to bring in the Age of Aquarius than to unite together? Because that's what Aquarius is about. It's so interesting because it's about honoring the power of the individual and the power of the group, the power of the community, the groups we belong to, the societies we belong to. And this is so exciting.
Hi, I'm Professor Matthew Bate from the Astrophysics Group at the University of Exeter in the United Kingdom. I'm going to tell you how you may be able to see the great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in late December this year, when Jupiter and Saturn will appear very close to each other in the evening sky. This will be their closest conjunction since 1623, almost 400 years ago. I'll start by giving a brief introduction to this year's Great Conjunction. I'll then tell you the dates on which it will be visible and when and where you'll have to look in order to see it. I'll then discuss what you may be able to expect to see when using the naked eye, a pair of binoculars, or a small telescope. If you don't have your own telescope, astronomers from the University of Exeter are hoping to be able to live stream a view from a telescope one evening around the time of the Great Conjunction. I'll finish with a brief summary and some acknowledgements. A Great Conjunction refers to when the two largest planets in our solar system, Jupiter and Saturn, pass close to each other in the sky as viewed from Earth. Jupiter orbits the Sun approximately every 11.9 years, and Saturn every 29.5 years. Roughly every 20 years, they appear close to each other in the sky. On December 21st this year, they will pass within 1/10 of a degree of each other. That's just 1/5 the diameter of the Moon, which is close enough to see both planets together in a telescope eyepiece. Most great conjunctions aren't this close. Typically, they only get as close as a couple of lunar diameters. This conjunction will be the closest since 1623, almost 400 years ago. Coincidentally, the Great Conjunction of 2080 will be similarly close, but that's still 60 years from now, so for most people this really will be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. This animation shows how the planets have been orbiting the Sun since the beginning of 2018. The white dotted line shows a line of sight from Earth to Jupiter. Watch how the orientation of this line changes as the planets orbit the Sun. Most of the time, the line moves anti-clockwise, but for short periods it moves clockwise because of the Earth's more rapid orbit. During these periods, the outer planets in the solar system appear to move backwards in the sky. This apparent backward motion is called retrograde motion. Despite this, on average from our perspective, Jupiter has been approaching Saturn over the past few years. On December 21st, the line of sight connects Earth, Jupiter, and Saturn. This is the Great Conjunction, when Jupiter and Saturn appear to be very close to each other in the sky as viewed from Earth. Notice that the Sun is also quite close to the line of sight at this time. We'll come back to this in a minute. The time of this year's Great Conjunction is 6:37 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, or Coordinated Universal Time, on Monday, December the 21st. But unlike many astronomical events, the exact timing is not very important because Jupiter and Saturn move so slowly in the sky. They'll be within about half the diameter of the Moon for 4 evenings, from December 19th through to the 23rd. Even at 1 or 2 lunar diameters apart, they'll be visible together in binoculars or a telescope at low magnification. This means that you'll have several nights on which to try to view the Great Conjunction, which is a good thing because it's winter in the UK and the whole of the Northern Hemisphere, and you'll need a clear piece of sky to see them. This animation shows where Jupiter and Saturn are in the sky around the Great Conjunction. Again, notice that they're quite close to the Sun, which is visible at the lower right. The animation zooms in to show the positions of Jupiter and Saturn on the 20th of December. You can also see the locations of the larger moons of Jupiter and Saturn. The 4 largest moons of Jupiter are known as the Galilean moons. They may be viewed using a pair of binoculars or a small telescope. The animation shows how Saturn moves relative to Jupiter from the 20th till the 23rd of December, so you can see that throughout this time they're close together. Most small telescopes should allow the bands in Jupiter's atmosphere, the rings of Saturn, and the Galilean moons to be visible simultaneously in a telescope eyepiece at medium magnification. The previous animation showed what the view would be like from space, without worrying about the light from the Sun, the Earth's atmosphere, or where the horizon is. This animation shows the paths of Jupiter and Saturn across the sky from September 2020 through to mid-January 2021, as viewed from Exeter in Devon in the United Kingdom at 5 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time each day. Jupiter and Saturn are visible in the southern sky in the UK throughout this period. You don't need to wait until late December to see them. Have a look for them on the next clear night. Mars, in the eastern evening sky, is also particularly bright during November. You can see that Jupiter and Saturn are slowly getting closer together throughout this period, but you can also see that they're close to the horizon. This means that you'll have to find a place with a clear view of the southwest horizon before the Great Conjunction.
Just trying to practice the art of surrender, man. You trying to practice the art of surrender. That's you, the light bearer. Put my people in position. Yeah, there we go, yo. Divine and conquer, a new world order. I serve together, my brothers and sisters. I rule the cipher, God's alphabet of intuition. Continue to listen to the wind, talking to the stars. I feel it in my heart, to the divine spark. With my ancient science to the dark art. That's you miss, blowing you a kiss. You cannot resist the narrow path that will take you into your bliss. Draw me in the dream world, that's when my legion is held in the ethereal realm. And where we back up and cook up and hook up and throw up our hands and clench our fists. Change reality collectively at the flick of a wrist. I'm just one of the man them, one of the fans them, one of the heroes. Lo and behold, we journey back and forth between the two worlds, bringing you the gift, carry through the shift, moving you into and past the fear. For those lost on this mist, in this man-made eternal hell, the purple candle is lit. We journey forth to the Sirius glyph. The dog star, yeah, she's my bitch. The sands of time, tripping off the tip of my lips. As we navigate through the nether world, remembering what it is you forgot, but you forgot the backslam of the gods. You agree, you're a god, you're a guess. You got this.
Yeah, there's that whole idea, what if we were just a brain in a vat? This is often posed by philosophers, except we are a brain.